administration will come to order. Today, our committee meets to consider Senate Resolution 526, which is based on a simple idea. If Congress can't keep the lights on, the United States Senate shouldn't expect to be paid as usual. And the federal government grinds to a halt, but elected officials continue to collect full salaries without interruption. The American people are right to be frustrated. This resolution, authored by Senator Kennedy, is an attempt to address that disconnect. It would set up a clear process after the next general election. In the event of a government shutdown, senators would see their pay withheld and released only after the government reopens. Now, let me say at the outset, this resolution does not absolve us from doing our job. Best way to avoid shutdowns is and has always been to pass a full year appropriations bill on time. Shutdowns happen because we fail to uphold our responsibility, and accountability matters. So I appreciate Senator Kennedy offering this resolution. It's straightforward and it reflects the basic reality that Congress failures have wide-ranging consequences. With that, I now recognize my colleague, Senator Padilla.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good to see you and all of our colleagues here as folks can continue to trickle in. This committee has a unique charge of upholding the Senate's traditions and procedures with the purpose of helping the Senate as a body function and function on a bipartisan basis. And it's in that spirit that I want to thank you, Mr. Chairman, Senator Kennedy, and your staffs for your willingness to work with us to address some of the significant concerns that we had with the original version of this resolution. Now, the version of the resolution before us today, that we're considering today, does reflect changes that we requested, as well as changes that were requested by the Secretary of the Senate in order to reduce the legal, constitutional, and operational issues with the original resolution. And because of those changes, I will be recommending that we vote in favor of sending this resolution out of committee and to the full Senate for further consideration. But before we do that, I do want to briefly raise a couple of points that I think the full Senate should consider and address before final adoption. First, I believe that we should treat members of the House and the members of the Senate in the same way. Under the Senate rules, legislation to do that would be referred to the Homeland Security and Government Affairs Committee. The current resolution before us is before us only because it impacts members of the Senate and does not speak to members of the House. But by doing so, it would place the Senate on unequal footing with the House and potentially adversely complicate shutdown negotiations in the future. Second, I appreciate the key changes to take into account the 27th Amendment of the Constitution. And I'll quote, "No law varying the compensation for the services of the senators and representatives shall take effect until an election of representatives shall have intervened." I know it's been partly addressed here, but it's also true that the Constitution also says that member pay is to be set by law. Yet, Senate Resolution 526 is just that. It's a resolution without the force of law. So as a result, I do think the Senate must have additional conversations following today's vote to ensure that this effort is done in a way that the Senate is able to constitutionally and legally implement. Again, I thank the chairman and Senator Kennedy's good faith work on this resolution. And so having registered my concerns and the work that remains, I'm prepared to support moving this resolution to the full Senate. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Senator Padilla. Senator Bennett is recognized to offer an amendment.
Thank you, Chairman. It's good to see you, and I'm glad everybody is here. I call up Bennett Amendment number 1. My amendment would prohibit former members of Congress from registering as lobbyists, not for 1 year or 2 years, but for the entirety of their retirement from public service. This amendment addresses a serious problem in our democracy, the buying and selling of influence, and this is not a new problem. I first introduced this legislation in 2010. Since then, the amount spent on lobbying and the number of lobbyists has only grown. Last year, spending on federal lobbying reached a new high, topping $4.5 billion, a 37% increase from a decade ago. Research shows that in the 1970s and 80s, it was relatively rare for former members of Congress to become lobbyists. That began to change in the 90s, and that trend has accelerated ever since. There are now 359 former members who are registered lobbyists. This is not just an issue of how members spend their time after they leave these halls. It strikes at the core of our democracy. When Coloradans or Texans or Virginians send their elected representatives to Washington, they expect them to be focused on their needs and the needs of their communities. They don't want them to take votes with an eye on their next job opportunity. I think most members don't do that. I think most members are serious public servants who put the interests of their constituents first. But even the appearance of this revolving door erodes Americans' trust in our democracy, our rule of law, and the legislative process. So this amendment puts forward what I think are some common sense reforms. It bans members from lobbying and adds new transparency requirements. That's what Coloradans expect, and that's what the American people expect. It's what they deserve. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Senator Cruz.
I move to table the Bennett Amendment.
The question is on the motion to table Senator Bennett's amendment. All those in favor say aye. All opposed, nay. The ayes appear to have it. Senator Bennett's amendment is tabled. Senator Ossoff is recognized to offer an amendment.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you to the chair and ranking member for convening us today. I call up my amendment, Ossoff 3. And folks, we have a problem, which is that members of Congress are playing the stock market while sitting in office, buying and selling shares of publicly traded stock while making decisions how to regulate those companies, while privy to confidential corporate information, while privy to confidential national security information. And it is so corrosive to public trust in this institution. The American people expect their elected representatives to put the public interest first, not our private financial interest. And yet time and again, we hear about members of Congress in both political parties trading stocks like that's their day job, rather than representing the constituents who should be our highest priority. This is not controversial among the American public. Overwhelming majorities of Democrats, independents, Republicans want to ban stock trading by members of Congress. And we've made a lot of progress in the Senate in the last couple years building a bipartisan coalition to ban it. In fact, legislation that Senator Merkley and I have worked on with bipartisan colleagues in the Homeland Security Committee passed out of that committee for the first time with bipartisan support to ban stock trading by members of Congress. That bill still hasn't been brought to the floor, and we all know that there are private conversations with members going to folks in leadership saying they don't want it to come to the floor. We need to get this done. We have the opportunity right now in this committee to send a powerful message to the American people that we take seriously their deep concern and their justified concern about ethics in the United States Congress. My amendment is very simple. In a year's time, stock trading by senators is prohibited under Senate rules. The text of this, the assets that are covered, are all drawn from the painstakingly negotiated bipartisan legislation that's been agreed by the Homeland Security Committee. This will force us, by a date certain, to finish the job of advancing that legislation. This will give the American people confidence that we understand and we accept our job is not to enrich ourselves. Our job is to advance the flourishing and prosperity and health of our constituents. So I understand that there may be some parliamentary effort to avoid a vote on this. I know that there are senators who don't want to take a vote on this. But before we do that, Mr. Chairman, why don't we see this as an opportunity? What a great day this would be if, instead of continuing to evade this question, stock trading by senators, this committee, with its reputation for excellence, came together across the aisle and passed this amendment. Ban stock trading by United States senators. Do the right thing. I urge a yes vote. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Senator Merkley.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. I second the motion of my colleague from Georgia. And if there is a motion to table, is that motion debatable? In other words, can we give everyone an opportunity to express their views before this issue is tabled?
No, it's not debatable. It is not debatable.
It's not debatable.
Then I would ask my colleagues, if somebody's thinking about tabling this motion, can you just wait until everyone who wants to express themselves on this has had a chance to do so? It'd be a courtesy to extend. And I do think that courtesy is important because this issue is important. We all have a collective interest in Americans seeing that we act with integrity, that is not corrupted by our concern about our pocketbook over the public interest. And there is no way, if you have a huge portfolio concentrated in a particular area, or you have a specific stock that would be affected by legislation, there isn't a voice in your head recognizing that and perhaps exercising some influence over how you might act. If you have a huge renewable energy portfolio, then maybe tax credits for renewable energy pass into your mind as, pretty good idea for my investments. If you have a huge inventory of bank stocks, or maybe you have fossil stocks, or who knows what, that should never be a voice that influences us. And this straightforward amendment for ourselves and our spouses is in the interest of this Senate serving the American people. We are at a time when the public opinion of the work we do in Congress is incredibly low. And every few months, there is an article, I saw one just this last week, about stock trades that occurred before an important public action was taken, and the public goes, there it goes again. Why can't they serve the public? So I would encourage us to take this up. I do recognize that this is not legislation that will affect the House. But I was thinking back to when I became Speaker of the House in Oregon, and in our rules, we adopted gift rules that affected only the House of Representatives in Oregon. We called it the $10 standard. You could give someone an apple pie, a cup of coffee, a T-shirt, a ball cap, but you couldn't take, a lobbyist couldn't take a person on trips. They couldn't take them to sweetheart tickets for concerts or playoffs or so on and so forth. And it really changed the culture, and it led to the Oregon legislature adopting a very similar law. So I think it's well worth our doing this here for our Senate. We've been debating this for over a decade. It's been well over a decade when I first became involved in this, and I so appreciate my colleague from Georgia picking up the torch this year and really helping to drive this forward. But let's debate this. Let's vote on this. Let's not table this. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Committee that amendments must be related to the matter under consideration, which is consistent with Committee Rule 4. Your amendment is not related to member pay during a government shutdown. As a result, the amendment falls.
Mr. Chairman, I appeal the ruling of the chair.
Is there a
Chairman.
motion to table the appeal?
Mr. Chairman, since Senator Ossoff has appealed the ruling of the chair, I would offer an amendment that, or I would move that we table his amendment.
Is the motion to table the amendment or to table the appeal?
Well, an aye vote supports the ruling of the chair. All those opposed say nay.
Nay.
In the opinion of the chair, the ayes have it. The
Mr.
ruling
Chairman.
of the chair.
I ask for a recorded vote.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I'm sorry. I ask for a roll call vote on the motion to table the appeal. Is there a sufficient second?
Yes, I second.
It appears that a third of the members present demand a roll call vote. Will the clerk call the roll?
Senator Cruz. Aye. Senator Capito. Aye. Senator Wicker. Aye. Senator Fisher. Aye. Senator Hyde-Smith. Aye. Senator Haggerty. Aye. Senator Britt. Aye. Senator Bozeman. Aye. Senator Padilla.
No.
Senator Schumer.
No by proxy.
Senator Warner.
No by proxy.
Senator Klobuchar. No. Senator Merkley. No. Senator Ossoff.
No.
Senator Bennett.
No.
Senator Welch. Chairman McConnell.
Aye.
The ayes are 9, the noes are 8.
Is there further debate on
We gotta do this first.
on this motion to table Senator Ossoff's appeal? The ayes are 9 and the nays are 8. The motion to table is agreed to. Is there further debate or amendment to SRS 526? Hearing none, the question is on ordering the resolution favorably reported. A reporting quorum is present. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed, nay. In the opinion of the chair, the ayes have it. SRS 526 is favorably reported. I ask unanimous consent that in preparing the measure for reporting, the staff be authorized to make any required technical or conforming changes. Thank you, everyone. Without objection, the committee stands adjourned.
Now it's